What is up, everybody? It's your boy Bobby from Bobby's Breakdowns, and as you could tell, 'tis the season. We are back with the Christmas reviews. I got my Jingle Bell Rock sweater on. It says rock at the bottom of it, but you could tell because it's Dwayne Johnson. But yes, another month of December and another month of Christmas reviews. We'll get into what I'm doing in a bit, but this one is a very special one to me because we are going to be reviewing the Always Sunny Christmas special. It's an episode, it's like 40 minutes. But with that being said, let's dive right in. This is hands down my favorite episode of the franchise, and we'll get into why. But it starts off at the bar. Christmas music is playing. Of course, it's Christmas Eve. Charlie and Mac are setting up the Christmas decorations. Now, why they're doing it on Christmas Eve, I don't know. But their tradition currently is they get drunk on Christmas Eve, wake up Christmas morning, throw rocks at trains. Why? I don't know. But Mac and Charlie love Christmas at first. Dennis and Dee walk in. They hate Christmas. They want nothing to do with it. They were like, why do you wait till the last minute to put up the decorations? But Charlie gets Frank on the walkie-talkie, and Frank's like, yeah, I got you guys gifts. And they were like, we're not falling for it again. He's like, oh, you might want to come outside, Dennis. It's your dream gift. They run outside. Frank pulls up in a Lamborghini, also with a very expensive handbag for Dee, and says, Merry Christmas! And they're like, you've gotta be kidding me. So Dee and Dennis have had enough. Frank says, this is what made me a billionaire. And they were like, no, you stole all the money from your old business partner, Eugene. So they go to find Eugene. We meet Eugene from years ago, the guy Frank stole all the money from. Then we go back to Mac and Charlie. They're in Mac's childhood home now. That doesn't make sense at all. I'll get to that, but yes. We go to old videos of Mac's Christmas mornings. It's a very nice memory until you realize him, his convict father, and his mother were stealing gifts from somebody else. You see Mac opening presents, and then you see the people saying, oh my goodness, who's there? And then they go, time to go. And Mac's like, yeah, it's a South Philly tradition. We take their presents and they take ours. And Charlie's like, no, you were robbing those families. So we find out Mac had a very dark past on Christmas, and of course, it gets worse. So then we go to Dennis and Dee. They bring Eugene to Frank's old apartment. Now, Frank thinks Eugene died, so they want him to really think he's dead. So they have Eugene put on like chains. The Frank smoke's coming. So Eugene gets in the room. Frank starts swinging a golf club at him because he thinks it's a ghost. So yeah, but Dennis and Dee eventually admit that Eugene is alive, and yeah, they go back to an old Christmas of Dennis and Dee's. It's a big present. They open it. There's nothing in it, and Frank says, "Ha! Fake out!" And yeah, you could see young Dennis and Dee's heart breaking, and that's why they hate Christmas. We then go to Charlie's house. We see Charlie's mother, and it's all festive. They're getting ready for Christmas, and you think it's so nice. Mac's like, all right, now I'm back in the Christmas spirit. And Charlie goes, yeah, and then the Santas will be here later, and they'll be with my mom. And Mac says, Santas? Plural? What are you talking about? They go back in time to Charlie's Christmas. Men would show up, give Charlie a present, and head upstairs with his mother. Charlie thought it was completely normal. And Mac had to break the news to him that it wasn't exactly normal. And Charlie loses his mind after that. That's not the worst of Charlie losing his mind, but yeah, like I said, Mac breaks the news to him and Charlie just goes dark. So then Dee and Dennis take Frank to his old company Christmas party. And he's like, why am I here? So they have him hide in a couch, literally. And it's not even like he's discreet about it. Somebody says, is there a man in that couch? But they want him to insult Frank, but they don't even know who it is. So eventually they just insult Frank. Frank, aka Danny DeVito, gets out of the couch, butt naked, and just walks out. Why he was naked, I don't know. This is the darkest episode of this show by far. At least I think. It's up there for sure. But then Mac and Charlie are trying to get back into the Christmas spirit. They show up to Ricky Falcone's house. Ricky Falcone was one of the kids that got robbed by Mac and Mac's father. So they bring Redmond the robot, which was the toy back then. They're like, hey man, look what we got. And he's like, oh, you're returning this after 30 years? And they were like, oh, returning? I don't know about that. And Ricky curses him out and they leave. We go back to Charlie and Mac. They go to the mall. Again, it's still Christmas Eve. They're trying to find a toy for Ricky's kids to make up for it. So it's still Redmond the robot is the top choice. And they're like, oh, we'll take one. They're like, yeah, we're sold out. And Mac just proceeds to lose his mind over the employee. They talk baseball and he goes, if Mike Schmidt walked in here, would you not have one for him? And he's like, who's Mike Schmidt? Yeah. So they walk out. Eventually they walk by the mall Santa. Charlie sees the mall Santa. So Charlie just walks up, just nothing in his eyes. He sits on Santa's lap. And he's like, well, what do you want for Christmas? And he's like, did you have intercourse with my mother? Obviously that's not what he said. And he's like, what do you mean? And Charlie just proceeds to bite Santa's neck and blood goes everywhere. Blood is on Charlie's face. It looks awful. But yeah. Just, kids are screaming, parents are running. If you've seen this episode, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, it was just a bloody rage for Charlie. But so we go back to the bar and they're like, all four of them can't stand Christmas now because they're figuring out their stories and that it was just all false. So they get a call and they say, it's Charlie saying, oh, guys, Frank is dead. They're like, what? Yeah. It's the hospital. They want us to come identify his body. So they go to the hospital. They're like, all right, let's see. They open the door. Frank's right there and he's like, yo. They're like, what? They're like, aren't you dead? He goes, yeah, I had to fake my death. I knew you guys would never come down here. So then Frank is trying to get into the Christmas spirit. He only sprained his ankle, so he's fine. But it cuts to this weird claymation of Frank and an elf, and it gets very graphic at some points. But yeah, it's a very dark show, very dark episode. But Frank eventually comes around. So after that musical number, the four of them, Charlie, Dee, Dennis, Mac, they head to Ricky Falcone's neighborhood. Dennis parks right next to a fire hydrant. It's clear as day. But so they start singing to try. They're still trying to get the Christmas spirit, but Ricky Falcone's neighborhood does not want it because they're singing to him at like, I think 3 a.m. or something. So they start throwing plates down and glass, and yeah, they want nothing to do with it. So eventually you see Dennis's car getting towed in the back of them. So they're walking back to the bar. It's Christmas morning now. And they walk into the bar. All the Christmas decorations are set up. Frank and Eugene made up. Trains running, the lights are up, there's presents, everything's starting to be happy. The four of them start to smile. Frank gives Dennis the Lamborghini. Frank also gives Dee the bag and gives Mac and Charlie some other gifts. But it's going great. And Eugene says, wow, I have a gift for you too, Frank, because Eugene's been nice this whole time. Pulls a gun on him. And he robs everyone of their presents. So yeah, Eugene robs them. The snowblower he sets up, and they're like, that thing hasn't worked in decades. And he goes, I'm going to leave you with a white Christmas. They were like, good luck. It works. Mac goes against the wall. Dennis goes over the presents. Everyone goes down. And then we never see Eugene again. He's never mentioned again in the series at all. But the episode ends with them going to the train tracks, because earlier in the episode, Mac and Charlie's Christmas tradition, they get drunk and they throw rocks at trains. So they take Dennis and Dee with them. They're throwing rocks and, it's all nice. And it cuts to the end of a young Mac and Charlie, and they're walking off saying, Merry Christmas, buddy. Merry Christmas. Nice ending, but a very, very dark episode. I do have some bits of trivia for you. The snowblower scene that I talked about, Danny DeVito in real life was like, I don't think we should do this. This doesn't make sense. Somebody could get hurt. And they were like, no, we got to do it. It makes it look legit. Charlie Day did indeed get injured filming this scene and had to go to the hospital with bruised ribs. Another piece of information, Mac being in his childhood home, I said I would get to that. 5 episodes earlier, there's an episode called Mac's Mom Burns Her House Down. So it doesn't make sense timeline-wise. This episode was supposed to come out in season 5. This is season 6, but for some reason it just got delayed. It doesn't really make sense. But Then, this is not trivia, this is just fact. This is the first episode I ever watched of this show. I watched it like the night before Christmas Eve in like 2016. I was like, oh, cool, a Christmas show. Let me just check it out. It's probably going to be nice and festive. No, it was not. And I've been in love with the show ever since. But yes, that is my review of the Always Sunny Christmas special. It's my favorite episode. It's a 10 out of 10. It will never be beaten in my book. Always Sunny fans have their favorite episode. This is mine. But yes, with that being said, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that like button. We got 3 more of these coming, folks. I'm going to hit you with a lot of Christmas stuff in December. We will get into that later on down the line. With that being said, I'm Bobby from Bobby's Breakdowns, and I'll see you in the next one. Later!